I'm Mira Rubin, here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is our magnificent life. Every day we wake up and consciously or not, we kind of set the stage for our day. And what if we were to use that daily opportunity to find space within our magnificent life? If we can, I notice such a transformation just by generating that framework for myself. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and our power to shape our reality. And before we get started, let's just take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. Good morning to everybody else who's joining us. So good to be with you this morning. We're talking about our magnificent life. So I woke up this morning and I noticed, and I think that this is something that doesn't often happen for most of us, is that we don't necessarily notice our state. But I noticed I was kind of like flat, and it occurred to me to just presence myself by welcoming in, like saying, "Good morning, my magnificent life." And that statement, it was and is transformational. Just feel it to yourself. Is hello, my magnificent life. Speak it, feel it. I don't think that we can say those words without feeling a sense of gratitude, appreciation, wonder, my magnificent life. Because what we're doing in speaking those words is inviting our brain to find the magnificence in our lives. And we may feel like our lives are just mundane. We may feel like we may even feel like we're plodding through. But when we say something like, "Good morning, magnificent life," all of a sudden we're programming ourselves, conditioning ourselves to look for that magnificence, to experience that magnificence. And it's present in every moment, regardless of how mundane our lives are. just the fact that we can smell beautiful and not so beautiful smells, that we can taste all different kinds of flavors. Rosalind says, opening of the heart. Exactly. When we say my magnificent life, all of a sudden we're present to, or we have it opens the door, opens the heart, as you say, Rosalind, to be present to how much of a miracle just being alive is, just being able to take breath, being able to feel the sensations we feel, being able to have the emotions we have and the experience of it. And we start the day, these conversations, with this brief presencing meditation that ends with this magnificent physical form that enables us to experience life. And so many of us, with the demands of our lives and our culture, just get conditioned into jumping into the doingness of life, jumping into all of our obligations and responsibilities and our sometimes even hopes and dreams, but without really allowing ourselves to experience life itself, the magnificence of life itself that we embody each and every day, whether we're conscious of it or not. And when we're conscious of it, it can shift our whole experience of being. So what's coming to mind is a conversation that I had yesterday with someone who was talking about how they hadn't really capitalized on their successes. And they were thinking about that in terms of finance. And it brought us to a conversation of what is success? How do we define success? Because if we're defining success in a purely monetary way, what's the experience of that? Versus if we look at our values, I mean, there are some people that their primary value is money. I don't think that that's who we're talking to. But if you look at what is success, let's look at it in terms of values. So presencing ourselves to the places in our lives where we're in alignment with our values, where we have expressed our values and have found fulfillment from that expression. For instance, in our relationships, in our commitment to learning, in our commitment to personal growth, in our commitment to contribution, making a difference in the world, to friendships, to family, to whatever your values are, to the environment, whatever the things are that are important to you. What if we were to look at our lives through the lenses of those things rather than the things that our culture says are important? For instance, in our culture, monetary success is one of the greatest measures of success. And yet, so many people who have achieved monetary success are not finding happiness as a result. It's like wherever you go, there you are. We take ourselves into whatever our circumstances are. And so it's not that money is going to provide happiness. it can make a lot of things a lot easier, but we're bringing our essence along wherever we go. So until we can find happiness that is not dependent upon our circumstance, or until we can find some kind of peace within ourselves that is self-generated, that's what we're talking about, that's not circumstantial, then we are at the whim of circumstance. And so what I noticed is this morning that there was sort of like I felt a little bit initially of a kind of a logy sourness. And I was like, I don't really like this feeling. And then I thought of my magnificent life. And instantly that experience, through what Rosalind said, an opening of the heart, to be able to look at this magnificent, it chokes me up, it brings me to tears a bit, to look at the magnificence of this life and all the remarkable range of experience, from deep, deep, deep sorrow and grief to elation and excitement and enthusiasm, and all the physical experiences and sensations of living and growing, and our physical changes. So many of us, as we go through life, are profoundly critical of our physical appearance, our emotional states, our accomplishments. I mean, we go through sort of as a judge, judging every step of the way. And when saying something like my magnificent life, all of a sudden it shifts the scales of that judgment to just being able to see the spectrum of experience and wonder that has been part of our lives. It's extraordinary, you know, when we just look at being alive, living. And so much of our conditioning and the demands of our lives pull us off track from being able to even conceptualize such a thing, you know, to be able to cherish our experience, to be able to relish it, you know, to savor it. And I have a lot of food and gustatory sorts of and taste sorts of adjectives that help me really get in touch, and you know, to our lesser emphasized senses. You know, we see and we hear, but we don't necessarily elevate the sense of touch and the deliciousness of that, the tastes, and how we can truly savor life and digest it and embody it, and to smell the roses. I heard a really wonderful thing on NPR the other day where they were talking about time management and our relationship to time, and how so many of us feel like there's not enough time, there's not enough time. And they were talking about how to really expand our experience of time. And part of it was to recognize where we spend time. But there was one person who I think is a happiness coach or something like that. And they recounted a situation where they were kind of racing through a park with their toddler to get to a meeting they were going to be late for. And their toddler was saying, "Stop, mommy, stop." And she was saying, "I don't have time to stop." And she turned around and he had his face in roses, smelling the roses. And he was like, "Mommy, just smell the roses." And she just was like, "I don't have time. We don't have time to stop and smell the roses." And she heard herself say that in that moment. And it stopped her. And I think that we don't give ourselves time to smell the roses, to savor the deliciousness of life, just itself. And in this conversation that I had with this person about success, we were recognizing that in a certain way, there's nothing to do. There's nothing that has to be done in the larger scale of things. Yes, there's eating, there's sleeping, there's providing for our family. There are all these demands. And at the same time, the question that had arisen was, what am I to do? And what am I here to do? And when we can allow ourselves the freedom to recognize that there's nothing we have to do that is going to be ultimately meaningful, then we get to create that meaning for ourselves. We get to be present to, well, what would light me up? What would bring more vitality? What would bring more life? What would bring more joy? What would bring more happiness? It's funny because for most of my life, joy and happiness were not even part of my lexicon, wasn't anywhere on my radar. Like, it was frivolous, it was an indulgence. And now at this point of my life and growth and evolution, whatever, what I see is that that's where the meaning is. And you may or may not agree with that. You may not or may not experience that, but that this sense of presence and satisfaction and wonder and this savoring of life is really where it's at. Like all the doing that we do, I don't know how important it is. What's important, as far as I can tell, is the being, the way we be in the context of whatever that doing is. And so when I can be present, when we can be present to our magnificent life, even vacuuming, for example, becomes a different experience. rather than an obligation or an oppression, to it, things turn more into an opportunity, which reminds me of this beautiful and very, very simple transition that is as simple as saying, hello, my magnificent life, because it transforms our relationship rather than all these things I have to do, all these things I have to do, like I'm forced to do. We can transform that with a simple shift of wording. All these things I get to do, like an opportunity. And all these things, if we want to take it an even greater step forward, all these things I'm blessed to do, like a gift of an opportunity. And it's transformational because we need to open our hearts, open our minds, find a different dimension or level of experience in order to process that information. In order to process, I get to do that. There's a whole different feeling to it. What is that like? It's all the have tos is now I get to. Really different framework, just like that. We have so many tools at our disposal, or that's such a funny phrase. We have so many tools available to us at our fingertips that are so powerful and so simple. A simple twist of phrase creates a twist of conceptualization, which creates a twist of experience. And so I invite you to just try on my magnificent life and see what that feels like. To really because it invites us into looking for magnificence, just like I get to invites us into experiencing the opportunity, just like I'm blessed to just feels divinely connected, whatever that divinity may be to you. And when we take our own experience in hand, when we make that conscious and deliberate choice, we have a more active and conscious hand in our destiny and in the fulfillment of that destiny. We get to it may be that it's preordained, or it may be something we create, or it may be some kind of combination of the two, who knows? But we get to step into it in a more conscious and deliberate way. And there's an enrichment that's available to us just through such a simple and elegant twist of phrase, turn of phrase. So often we spend time and energy dwelling on what's wrong, dwelling on our fears, dwelling on what's not working, dwelling on the things that should have been different or that currently should be different. What if we instead look at what's magnificent? So Rosalind says the idea that the mind can influence and actually mold the energy body, like how an amputee can feel their arm or finger after it's gone. Well, 100% the mind does influence and mold the energy body. There's an exchange. Okay, so our energy can help to shape our thoughts can help to shape our energy. It's this chicken and egg kind of thing, I think, in so many ways. And we can intervene on the energetic side, we can intervene on the conceptual side, or both. Like we can create an emotional state that shifts our energy. We can run, and that's changing our energetic state, and that can shift our emotion, for example. So we can enter that cycle pretty much at any point. The idea is that we do have the ability to intervene and to impact and shape our experience in a conscious and deliberate way. And it is by doing so, or it is in doing so, that we do shape our destiny. And so we'll leave today with the question, who do you need to be in your beingness to become and to create the life that you desire for yourself? Who do you need to be and become to step into? Who do you need to step into to be the person that has your dreams fulfilled? So that's the question to ponder, and then invite yourself into that becoming, to step up and into that expression. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And as always, it's a privilege and a pleasure to have the opportunity for these shared morning musings on what it is to be human. So until next time, so much love to you.